This objective is that you interpret frequency tables and contingency tables. And for this video, we're just going to be looking at a frequency table. So remember, frequency means how many. So this tells you how many of each of these data points occurs. And a frequency table is basically a dot plot or a histogram without a picture. This number of siblings is like the x-axis, and then the frequency is how many dots or how tall the bar would be as your y-axis. So part A in this question is how many siblings do you have? Part A is to write out the entire data set. So even though this is tedious, it's worth doing once to make sure we understand it. This means that 3 people have 0 siblings. So the actual data points are 0, 0, 0. And then 9 people have 1 sibling, so that's 1, 1, 1. I counted that out 9 times. And then 8 people have 2 siblings, so that's 2, 2, 2, 8 times. And then 6 people have 3 siblings, so I'm going to write out 3 6 times. Two people have 4 siblings, so I'll write 4 2 times. No one has 5 siblings, so there's not going to be any 5s here, and then 1 person has 6 siblings. So this is the data set that is represented in this frequency table. All the subsequent questions that we're about to answer about max and min and average and median, if you need to, you can always just look back at the data set because you already know how to find those things from a data set. This is about taking the shortcut using a frequency table. So I'm going to be coming back to this over and over. B says, how many students are in the class? Explain how you found this from the frequency table. So what I don't want to do is just have to count up all these numbers. The frequency table tells me, again, has an x-axis for number of siblings, and then how many people have each of those number of siblings. So this is 3 people, 9 people, 8 people, 6, 2, 0, and 1. So for part B, how many students are in the class? Well, we can just add up the frequency column. If we do that, 3, 9, 8, 6, 2, 0, 1, I'll write this under part B, 3 plus 9 plus 8 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1. That comes out to 23. Did I miss a number? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a 6. That comes out to 29. And again, we found this by adding up the frequency column. So explain how you found this. We added up the frequency column. So next question, C and D go together. What is the minimum amount of siblings and what is the maximum amount of siblings? I'm going to go back to the table. The minimum and the maximum would be the number of siblings that occurs the least. Is there someone who has 0 siblings? Yes, there are several people who have 0 siblings. That's the minimum. Is there anybody who has 6 siblings? Yes, there's 1 person. That's the maximum. There's no more rows here, but if there were, they would all have a frequency of 0. So like if I put a 7 here, no one has 7 siblings. So that can't be the maximum because there is no data point of a person with 7 siblings. So again, the minimum amount of siblings is 0. The maximum is 6. And this is the lowest number of siblings and the highest number of siblings. Again, compared to, we're not looking at the frequency column, we're looking at the number of siblings column. Next, what is the average amount of siblings? And this is where it gets interesting. So you have calculators and you know how to find averages. What I don't want to have to do is actually write 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus. I know by adding 0 3 times, I'm going to get 0. And I'm adding 1 9 times. So I know that that's going to come out to be 9. And then I'm adding 2 8 times. So I know that's going to come out to be 16. This is going to be called a sum product. Instead of adding 3 6 times, I'm just going to do 3 times 6. So back to part E. Our average amount of siblings is going to be 0, which occurs 3 times. So that's 0 times 3. Plus 1, which occurs 9 times. So that's 1 times 9. Plus 2, which occurs 8 times. Plus 3, which occurs 6 times. Plus 4, which occurs 2 times. Plus 5, which occurs 0 times. Obviously, you can skip that in the future. Plus 6, which occurs 1 time. This is going to give me the total amount of siblings that exist right now. So right now I'm typing all this into the calculator. And this comes out to 57. So this is 57 siblings. And they didn't ask for that, but that's the total amount of siblings in the class. What they did ask for was the average amount of siblings. So that would be the total siblings divided by the number of students. So we found that this is 57 total siblings. And then the total amount of students we found earlier in part B, there were 29 total students. So we need to use that number right now. So I'm coming back here and I'm doing 57 divided by 29. And when I divide that, I get 1.97 siblings per student. So that is the average amount of siblings. Explain how you found this from the frequency table. Basically, I want you to know that this here is called a sum product. We are multiplying each row and then adding up all of those results, and that gives us the total amount of siblings, 57 siblings. Next question, what is the median amount of siblings? This is a question we've already kind of done in other parts of this packet. There are 29 people in this class. We know this, and if you divide that by 2, you get 14.5. And then remember with that number, it always goes up. So that means the median is going to be the 15th person. Okay, so this isn't the median amount of siblings, but the 15th person is going to be the person who has that median amount of siblings. So I'm going to go back to the table and let's take a look. Is the median amount of siblings in that first 3 people? Well, no, because we need to count up to 15. So 1, 2, 3, not there. Then the next 9 people would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So are they there? No. Then the next 8 people would be 13, 14, 15, and so on. The other way that we talked about doing this sometimes was this. By the time you're done, you've counted to the 3rd person in that first section. Here, after you count 9 more people, you've counted to the 12th person. After you count 8 more people, you've now counted to the 20th person. We're looking for the 15th person, so that 15th person must have been between the 12th and the 20th, which means they must have been one of these 8 people, which means it's a person with 2 siblings. So that 15th person has 2 siblings, and that's actually the answer here. Explain how you found this from the frequency table. I don't think is really something we need to do right now because we've done this before. Finally, we get to part G, what is the mode amount of siblings? You know mode means the data point that occurs the most often. This one is usually pretty easy to find. It is the number of siblings for the frequency that occurs most often. So the number 1 occurs 9 times. 9 isn't the mode, 1 is the mode because that occurs 9 times. So we're going to go to part G. Again, the mode is 1. And it's because it is the amount of siblings with the highest frequency. So again, you have to look at the frequency column to find that highest frequency, but then the amount of siblings that goes with that is actually the mode.